Happy Brandon Day. We're all doing good. Takes a whole village. Little Brandon Hart going again here. I don't even know where to start today because this is just, I mean, it gets more hilarious every day. At least everybody, well, most, you know, a lot of people get a day off today. So, here we go. All right, that's Brandon Hart. Good dude. Check his music out. We're going to start with something a little hilarious today. And I'm going to pull up a video clip. This is going to be one of your wonderful representatives from the state of New York. This is what she's concerned with right now. We got a world in tatters, and she has to play identity politics in more ways than one. And this one is pretty good. Let me get this queued up here because this is absolutely hilarious. I mean, who in the world would ever think that you are going to want, I mean, who wants to watch this shit? Let's wait. Here we go. And they came out with a book, apparently, about her. I don't know. I mean, you know, she talked a big game to start with. I mean, not making a ruckus and this and that, but when forced the vote became a deal, she wasn't, you know, that then it wasn't time to make a ruckus. She's stood right behind Pelosi the whole way. She's just done exactly the establishment shit that everybody else in the Democratic Party does. You know, they try and come out with this this identity that they're not bought off by the corporations, that they're not all about the money. And then the way that they vote shows it all. I mean, she chooses to vote present. Now, what did you get elected for? To vote present? I mean, yes or no. I mean, in my mind, that's how you vote. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to, you just go to the polling place on election day and pencil in present. That's what she's done a number of times. Anyway, check this out. This is some hilarious shit here. This woman. Let me bring this up. All right.
Really like starting to blend with my fingers, and then I'll go in afterwards and polish it off. I've been lately playing with a lot of eyeshadows. I go in with a little kind of a lighter color.
Okay.
And I just wash it all over my lid. I tried the shimmer, and it looks fire. It looks good. Whenever you see me wearing a red lip, most of the time it's this one. And again, I start small and I start working my way out.
That's great. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Voila.
That's wonderful.
So makeup is a process. You know, you start small and then you work your way out, concentric circles.
Does anybody
That's
care?
the way she uses cosmetics. And we have to admit, she seems pretty good at it. Painting her own face may be her one real skill, but something useful, it's a different story.
Take that off there. So that's what we have. This is, they're comparing her to some type of Jesus Christ character. And then she's coming out because Tucker's making fun of her and saying that he's a sexist and he shouldn't be allowed around females, apparently. I don't think she should be allowed around the Congress. But, hey, all you geniuses out there in New York, that's what you voted for. So I can't even imagine what the other alternative was. I'm trying to remember who it was she was running against, the incumbent guy that thought there was no way that a 28-year-old bartender was going to end up stealing his thunder, and she did. I mean, I thought that was hilarious, but then to watch what she's done, it's just been pathetic. I mean, she was on the TV the other night just flopping around in Congress like a petulant child, just like swinging her arms around. I mean, just like a little kid that didn't get her way. And I was just like, what in the world? What's this? I mean, look at what this world has come to. I mean, we've got these peaceful protests going on up in Canada. They're not burning anything down. They're not doing like the protests in the United States where cities got burned and people were murdered and killed and shot and families sitting there eating dinner and there's bullets going through their homes and shit like that. No, the Canadians, they just pulled their trucks up. And hence Trudeau decides to start hitting up bank accounts, seizing people's money. I mean, it's pretty pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. I mean, and then you've got like the mainstream media down here. You know, they're comparing these dudes driving these trucks are the people that they bring your goods to your stores. Everybody wants to complain about supply chain. 89% of these truckers are vaccinated. They're not speaking out anything about the vaccine. Okay, you figure there's 10%, right? Anybody ever think that maybe those 10% are guys that maybe, or women or people who have already had COVID? Maybe they have natural immunity. Maybe they have a religious objection. These are people that drive around in a truck by themselves. I don't know if anybody's ever watched the unloading process that happens when a truck pulls up at a Walmart or an Albertsons or any other grocery store. The guy backs up. They open the back of it. The people that work at the store, they unload the truck. For the most part, the guy sits in the truck. He might get out and go walk around. He's not back there unloading the truck. His job is to get the goods there. The people are there to unload it. They got their pallet jacks and everything, and they're pulling it all off. I mean, the most interaction that probably takes place is a matter of, you know, a signature on goods received, packing slips, things. I mean, I watch them all the time over the Albertsons up the street. The guy sits in there in the truck. If it's late at night, he gets done. He pulls the truck up, or he pulls down the street to there's like an empty lot. And he pulls over there, and he crawls in his sleeper, takes a little rest, and goes on to his next stop. It's not like this is a guy that's like, you know, these are people that are unloading these trucks and bringing them into, and who cares? Who cares? And nobody out here wearing a mask. Nobody. I see one once in a great while, but most of the time no one's wearing one. If they do wear one, it's pulled down over their nose. They're fidgeting with it. That's not, and I'm sorry, that's not medical misinformation. Those are observations. Okay, so before you go and fucking pull me here, YouTube, for medical information, I'm just telling you how it is here in Wyoming. People aren't wearing masks. And when I got sick with it, guess what? Even after I was better, I did when I'd go into a store, I would wear the damn thing. Out of consideration for the people that I live around. Because nobody knows. Every week, the science changes. It's like it's not just these have not just been set in stone facts. I mean, had you said certain things that have proven to be correct today, had you said those things 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago, you'd have been pulled off YouTube, off Bookface, off Twitter. If you'd have said the things that have proven to be true, if you'd have come out and said that you could get the vaccine and you could still get COVID and you could still transmit COVID, even being fully vaccinated, if you'd have said that 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago, oh, you'd have been ostracized. You'd have been a pariah. But guess what? You can. And Tony Science has even come out and said that everybody's going to get it. That's Tony Science. So he's changed his mind from masks are absolutely not necessary. People don't need to be wearing masks to double, triple masks. I mean, people who haven't been vaccinated have been ostracized. I mean, this thing's been called a pandemic of the unvaccinated. No, it's not. It's a pandemic of what we paid for. We funded that lab, where it came from. Is that misinformation? You say whatever you want. It didn't come from somebody eating a bat. The thing was already over here in the United States before we even knew it, too. They had those military games over there in China. We had people from our military that participated that came back with it. People working for that lab, they already had it. Sorry about that. Anyway, I don't want to get into the whole COVID thing. This Cortez lady is just something else. And it's funny, you see her down there in Florida, and she's complaining about, Florida's take on everything while she's sitting there drinking with she's not wearing a mask. Well, why? And then she gets COVID. Oh, God. Oh, my goodness. I mean, that's almost as bad as the, I'm trying to remember the name of the comedian. She took the stage and she's talking about how she'd been fully vaxxed, that she'd traveled to Mexico. She'd been doing shows. She still had her period. And she literally passed out on stage. And I'm not making a joke about this at all, because she passed out on stage and fractured her skull. But it was right after she said that, I should try and find that clip. Find out. I can't remember her name. But it was one of those where it was like Carlin did. He's like, there was one stand-up that he did where he said, I'm going to prove it to you that God isn't real. And he goes, if God's real, then may he strike down everyone in this crowd. And may he strike down me. And he goes, see? This is kind of what this comedian did. I want to say her last name was, I'm not going to say it because I'm not positive. I'll have to look it up. But it was crazy footage to watch. And at first I thought it was a joke, because it looked like a joke, because she said, I've been fully vaccinated, traveled here, been putting on shows, blah, 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 nothing's happened, I still get my, and then she it was like she was kind of leaning against, because a lot of times comedians have a stool up there on stage, and she was kind of it's like she was almost kind of leaning against it a little bit, and then she stood up, and she went down, and it looked like it could have been a stage deal. It was kind of like when Colonel Bruce Hampton died on stage during his 70th birthday celebration, because he was known for kind of doing that type of antics where he'd fall down and shit like that. And I mean, he fell down and the music kept playing. Everybody thought, oh, it's just Colonel Bruce doing his thing. And I mean, they kept the music rolling until, excuse me, must have the unicorn, until they realized that he was actually down. And I mean, I think the music went on for a good 2 minutes. And you got 12 musicians up on stage. And this was the same type of thing, minus all the musicians. And the thing about that one was I had tickets to go to that show in Atlanta when he passed away, and I wasn't able to go. But it was similar to that. It was like she was almost, it was one of those where you could say, be careful what you wish for. It was crazy, and I think that was kind of the same as Cortez when she goes down to Florida and ends up getting Omicron, sitting there drinking and partying, no mask on, complaining about why they're not wearing masks down there. And it's like, well, why aren't you wearing one then? If it's so, I mean, it's like you're obviously down there to just have a good time. You should be down on the border doing something instead of putting on, maybe it's Maybelline fucking, I mean, that's a paid public servant right there. And we are in the middle of, not only the pandemic is still going, We have a crisis going on at the southern border that no one wants to talk about anymore. We got a crisis going on at the northern border that no one wants to talk about anymore. We got a supply chain crisis going on in our port cities that nobody wants to talk about anymore. We've got whatever the fuck is going on over there in Ukraine going on. And we get to watch this former bartender turned politician tell us how to put on our foundation and do concentric circles with our makeup. That's what the public dollar is going for right there. I don't care what you think about her. I don't care what you think about her politics. I couldn't care less. What I think about that is that's bullshit. For somebody to be a public servant in this time, we've got inflation going through the roof. We've got people that are struggling. We've got gas prices through the roof. People can't fill up their vehicles. People are having a hard time getting food to eat. People are having a hard time out there, folks. And just a little over a year ago, we were energy independent. We were the largest exporter of oil, natural gas. And now look at us. We got a geriatric mushhead begging OPEC to start pumping more oil. And they're laughing. And we give them money. We make arms deals with them. We give them weapons. We allow them to carry out genocides in Yemen and these are countries that treat women like absolute crap. You're talking about countries that women you can't go out without being, if you can even see through the face, places where we just gave over billions and $90 billion worth of military equipment and just let people like that just take over, left our own people there. And people want to support that. We got people over there. Who knows what's happened to them? Who knows? Because, under the Taliban, there ain't no free press. Shit, they killed a goddamn folk singer in the middle of the street when they first took over because no more music. What do you think that they've done to women and little girls? And anybody that doesn't fall in line with them over there, what do you think's happened to them? No one's ever going to know. No one's ever going to know. And Onion Head decides to pull out our troops instead of getting people out of there, instead of getting out Afghan people that have worked with us for years as translators and any number of different facets. Then we go in there and we blow up a man who's an aid worker, a social worker, and his family with a drone. And nothing, no repercussions. The military says, oops a daisy. Sorry about that one. Oops. Suicide bomber. The one that hit closest to home for me here was a young man from Jackson Hole, Wyoming. He was coming back from Germany, coming back for the birth of his child. He gets rerouted to that fiasco. And he was one of the 13 that died in that suicide bombing. This young man's been serving his country. He's coming home. He gets rerouted because of Onion Head and loses his life. His child never gets to meet him. His wife never sees him again. His family never sees him again. And he lived just about 120 miles from me, little town in Wyoming. And that's not to, every single family that lost, the other 12 families that lost somebody, it should have never happened. Should have never, ever happened. And now who knows what we're in the middle of now in Ukraine, and yet we still have homeless people that are growing in numbers. It's getting worse. It's not getting better. It's not getting better. Hunger's not getting better. Homelessness not getting better. the number of veterans that return, that commit suicide every day, not getting better. Nobody asks these questions. Why? Why is this happening? Why are our young people who enlist, and they enlist, I believe that most young people who enlist in the military are doing so with a conviction that they're doing the right thing. And I don't know what happens. What happens? I'd like to know. Any of you vets out there got any insight into this? I would like to know what your take is on it, because I don't understand how an individual goes through all that, goes through boot camp, and then the idea of being shipped, overseas to some country where we don't even belong, under the guise of protecting our freedom. Well, is it the realization that you get home and you realize that the only freedom you were protecting was the freedom of the oligarchs and all these upper 1% people, the freedom of them to just keep, through tyranny, taking money, hand over fist? Our politicians and the lobbyists have become so far alienated from the population. They don't care. And it doesn't matter if we're talking Republican or Democrat. It doesn't matter. Those fights, those are set up on purpose to keep people divided so they can stay in power. Have you noticed the trend, how it changes? Okay? We went from Trump to tyrant, the Nazi, whatever, people screeching in the street. The man didn't get us involved in another war. To me, take it or leave it with whatever you will, okay? Here, and I come back to this often. The one thing to me that, in my mind, was the highlight of the Trump presidency was when our drone got shot down over Iranian airspace where we weren't supposed to be. And the Democrats were all over, another drone strike. We know where these guys are that shot down the United States drone in airspace where it wasn't supposed to be. And I make the comparison, what would happen if there was an Iranian drone that was in United States airspace? How do you think that would play out? Yeah. So they call the three guys that shot this thing down terrorists. They figure out where they're supposedly at, which obviously we can't tell where these people are at anyways. Look what happened in Afghanistan. We don't know. So they're looking at these three guys in an apartment building, and, Trump sitting there, and everybody talking about what a maniac he was, and we don't want a guy like this with his finger on the button. Well, he was getting great pressure to bomb this apartment building. And he asked the question, how many innocent people are going to die? And I believe the answer was like 97 innocent civilians were going to die if, in fact, they took these guys out who did what they were legally allowed to do. Our drone was not supposed to be in their airspace. So it's not like these guys suited up and flew into the sky with suicide vests on or something and yelled Allahu Akbar. No. Supposedly. And we don't even know. Who even knows if they took the thing down? The bottom line is we were doing something that was not legal. And Trump decided not to drop the bomb. He decided not to take those guys out. To me, out of everything with his presidency, whatever, goods, bad, any of it, that's the moment I come back to. Because I sit here and I think about those 97 people that didn't have to die that day because of American imperialism. I thought that was a very big exercise in restraint for a guy that was supposedly some kind of crazy nut case. And that's what everybody, he's going to get us into World War III. He didn't get us into another war. He was trying to get us out. He tried. His plan was to have us out of Afghanistan in May. And that would have been bringing out all of our people. And by our people, I also mean the Afghani people that helped during that stupid fucking war. But no, instead, nitwit pushes it back, and imagine that makes the date 9/11. You want to talk about ego? Why would the guy do that? Trump would have had us out of there in May. He wouldn't have given up Bagram Air Force Base. He wouldn't have made the Taliban one of the largest, the most heavily armed military forces on the planet now. And then we got this mushhead, and I don't know what the hell's going on with Ukraine. And I mean, I don't know if it's posturing. I think that the whole world's just laughing at us. China's laughing at us. Putin's laughing at us. He's laughing. I mean, the book that Schweitzer just wrote is stating that the Biden family took $31 million from Chinese intelligence. They call him China Joe. So when you walk around with that "I voted" sticker on your shirt and you're so proud of what you did, then think about that. And it's kind of weird that we got all these problems with China, and then weird that we got problems with Ukraine. And then it comes out that Hillary was actually, and I've been saying this all along, that they were the ones guilty of the collusion. And Trump was right when he said they were spying on him. I mean, Durham came out with his investigation, and Durham's investigation was a whole lot better than Robert Mueller's. Remember Mueller? Remember Mueller, the guy that said weapons of mass destruction in Iraq? Anybody remember that guy? He got you then, and he got you again. The walls are closing in. Mueller's every night listening to Rachel Maddow. The walls are closing. How many times you hear that stupid shit? Oh, conspiracy theory. Trump's just been... It wasn't conspiracy theory. They did spy on him. The whole thing was set up. Aaron Monte, Jimmy Dore, Max Blumenthal. Some of the few that had the balls to stand up against that. And guess what? Those guys are on the left. They're progressives. And they called that bullshit. Okay? Those three dudes I just named right there. They are progressives. And they were calling it out. Well, the mainstream media and everybody else, all these nitwits are just making this, how many millions of dollars did we waste? We just waste. Money's not even a thing. It's not even real. The only time that it's real is when it comes down to what you and I owe. All of a sudden, money becomes real. It doesn't matter what these bastards do out in D.C. It doesn't matter what these bastards do wherever. They just spend it and throw it away, and they don't care. They couldn't care less. They could not care less about your hard work, time, energy, labor that went into making those dollars. Because that's supposed to be where it comes from, right? Tax dollars for roads. Maybe we should spend some of that money on taking care of our homeless population. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe we should come up with a fucking cure for fucking cancer. Maybe we should stop feeding people poison. Maybe we should shut down Monsanto and quit with this GMO shit that's full of Roundup. Anything that you eat from the store, almost anything that's a corn product, wheat, whatever, it's anything GMO has got Roundup in it, and you're eating it. I try not to, but it's almost an impossibility. I mean, has anybody ever stopped to look at it and wonder why cancer numbers have gone through the roof like they have. I mean, I remember as a kid, and I talked to my mom about it. I mean, she grew up on a farm where, I mean, my great grandma, I remember as a little kid eating my great grandma's cooking, and my grandma's cooking too. I mean, she would sit there, my great grandma would sit there, and she'd churn butter, and everything had butter in it. It was fatty food. I mean, but we were eating, the meat was grown, on their farm. Everything was. It was a self-sustaining lifestyle. My great-grandfather, he smoked from the time he was a little kid. He lived a very long life. He drank. But it was roll your own tobacco. It didn't have, 4,000 carcinogens in it. Now, I quit smoking 4 years ago. I haven't touched a cigarette since, and I'm very happy about that. But it didn't have the same effect. I mean, you remember back in the day, they used to say cigarettes were good for you. Doctors would say it was okay. They'd sign off on that, But you didn't have the carcinogens in it. I mean, now there is a natural reaction that happens when you ignite tobacco, that it does produce some bad byproducts, just plain tobacco. But you think about it when they put rat poison, arsenic, cyanide. I mean, I'd hate to even look up the list of all the shit that's in them. And, any of you guys out there smoking your Marlboros, take a look into what you're ingesting. Take a look into your food. I mean, go look at any box of cereal that you got. Take a look at it. Look at the ingredients. When you pick up something at the grocery store and you go to read the ingredients, and there's ingredients in there that you can't pronounce. The colors, they cause hyperactivity in children. Your yellow number 8s, your red dyes, all those dyes and shit. I mean, the colorings, natural flavor. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we're killing ourselves. And then we got to sit here and we got to watch this idiot Cortez put on makeup. Tell you about her face. And the makeup she's putting on is probably full of bullshit too. Who knows? I mean, they do all the animal testing on that. And then you got, you got Tony Science, who's been, I mean, they were literally doing tests where they were taking beagles and basically, you remember the practice back in the day that you see the lock and stockade or whatever, where somebody's got their head through the thing with their arms up. They're taking puppies and basically putting their heads in a situation like that and letting sandflies eat them alive for science. How cruel and inhumane is that? And that's the guy you're going to fall behind and believe when he changes his story every fucking week? Straight up liar. He's lied non-stop. And he's admitted that he lied. And the first one started with the whole mask thing. And I've been over and over this. I'm not trying to get back into the whole thing, but it just seems like everything keeps rolling back into this. And I'm sick of it. I'd like to talk about something else, but it all comes full circle. And it comes back into it. I mean, our lives have so greatly changed. This is also the man that came out in 2017 and said that there was going to be a pandemic during Trump's presidency. Weird. I mean, who authorized the funding for EcoHealth? Dr. Barrick and all that. Look into it. I keep telling everybody, do your homework. For those of you that are doing it, good on you. For those of you that aren't, and you're just sitting there being complacent about all this shit and just watching it go on and not saying anything, not doing anything, and just, I mean, I know I always use the same reference, but it's like a fucking Oliver Twist holding his cup. Can I have some more? That's all we're worried about. Can we have some more? Can we have some more cancer? Can we have some more disease? Can we have some more poverty? Can we have some more fucking racial disparity? Can we have some more division? Can we have some higher gas prices? Can we have food prices go through the roof? Can we lose our businesses? Please, please, almighty government, please. Can we do that? Can we please lose our businesses? Can we please lose our jobs? Can we please? Oh, please, can we pay more in insurance, please? Now, here's my take on insurance. And this would never fly. But I've talked to a number of people about this, and I said, hey, you know what? Because I don't think you can become an insurance agent unless you go to school. It's kind of like being an attorney. I can go and pass the bar exam, but I can't become an attorney because I didn't pay the money to the state, to get that education that I could get at the public library, on the internet, on my phone. The stupid thing has got every bit of information anybody ever needs on anything. A lot of it fake. You gotta know where to look. You can't be looking at you gotta look at who runs the organizations, where you're getting your information. These fact checkers and all this, look where they're coming from. Look up Reuters. See who's a bigwig with them. Tell me that you're getting honest information there. Tell me that, there's not disinformation every day being put out by these people. But yet, a guy like me, I come out and cite numbers from CDC reports. From the CDC. I cite numbers from the CDC. I bring up a doctor that was the leader in the mRNA vaccine technology. Bringing another doctor who's been the most cited doctor in medical paperwork in history. And I get shut down. Me. Who am I? I'm nobody. I'm a guy that's got, like I always say, 3.2 listeners out there, and I love every single 3.2 one of you. And I get shut down. Now, what's that telling you? They're scared to death. YouTube, Google, all of them are scared to death of people like me, of people like you. They're scared to death because they know what happens when, when you have an awakening with people, they're not going to take it. Look what they're doing to these truckers. And I wish I could. I wish I was allowed to go to Canada because I'd be up there right now. But unfortunately, I can't cross that border. I'd be up there with them. What else I got to do? They're in the fight of their lives up there, and it's a fight for everybody on the planet. And the fact that people are comparing them to Nazis and terrorists and shit like that, that's bullshit. That is the most peaceful. I've not seen one bit of violence except from the police. And any of those cops up there that have taken part in that, enacting any kind of violence, stealing fuel from those guys, you should be ashamed. You should resign. Literally, if you've enacted violence on anybody up there involved in those protests, you should resign. Trudeau should resign in shame. Joe Biden should resign in shame. Kamala Harris should resign in shame. Nancy Pelosi should resign in shame. Chuck Schumer should resign in shame. Mitch McConnell should resign in shame. It's pathetic what we've allowed to happen. Absolutely pathetic. And we just sit here and we want to jump on our soapboxes and point fingers at, you're a libtard, you're a neocon, blah, blah, you're a Nazi, you're a racist. It's all bullshit. Is there racial disparity? Are there some problems? Yes. Have there always been? Yes. Are we fixing them by the way we're going about it? No. We are not. We're not fixing these issues by the way that we're going about them. We're only making them worse. We're adding fuel to the fire through division and complacency and being comfortable. We're adding fuel to the fires that are burning already, and they're almost out of control to the point where I don't know if they're going to get put out. I really don't know. It's hard to say. So I don't know. You got to think about it. Think about what you're doing. Yeah, I love it when somebody comes in and starts making noise out there. Clang, clang, clang. Anyway, with that, I'm going to shut it down for now. Might come back later with some more. Happy President's Day. Why do we even have President's Day? I mean, good God, can we make some more noise out there? Jesus Christ. Anyway, I need to put up my on-the-air fucking thing on the door. Cats meowing out there, people in and out, just clomping around, slamming doors. That's nice. Anyway, I'm sorry. I meant to be in more in a chipper mood, but I sit here and think about presidents and politicians and why. I mean, we ought to make it some other day. Why don't we just call it People's Day? Why don't we call every day People's Day? That'd be better. Instead of having these silly, goofy ass holidays, just make every day People's Day. And take care of each other. Look out for one another, no matter where you're from, no matter what religion you are. You know, maybe we stop creating these problems and start to take care of them. That's my standpoint. Start taking care of each other, because we're not doing that. We're not looking out for one another. We're not taking care of each other. We're not taking care of anything other than just exacerbating this bullshit that keeps going on. And it doesn't matter who you vote for, because you're going to get the same thing. And don't you think that those oligarchs that are in power, don't you think they don't know that? Why do you think the vote flip-flops every couple of years? We just go from Democrat to Republican. Democrat. This guy's, it's idiot, look what he, you get the same thing. You get the same thing. You get more dead civilians, more war. The military-industrial complex gets more money. Big Pharma makes more money. And the middle class gets reduced. People, poverty increases, homelessness increases. The fat get fatter, and the have-nots have less. I mean, if we were to put all these things aside and realize that between you and I and the rest of us, the rest of the 335 million people in this country, that we do have strength, that we do have the capability, that we have the ability to step away from this fake money system that drives all of our lives. Think about it. What drives your life on a daily basis, right? Most people aren't in a position where they can just say money doesn't matter. It's the most stressful factor in almost everybody's life is money. And it's not even real. I mean, I keep saying it, there's enough there for everybody. And I'm not talking about communism or anything like that. I'm talking about freedom. Think about that. If you had the freedom to go out there and be creative, if you had the freedom to go out there and innovate, if you had the freedom to follow your dreams, everybody's going to have what they need. But not in this system. And they're never going to work out like that, because this system requires debt. It requires you to owe. It requires me to owe. Fake money that's not even printed. It's a digital fucking number on a computer screen anymore. It's not even real. And it hasn't been since we went off the gold standard. And it'll never be real again until the whole goddamn thing goes down. And it's only a matter of time. I don't know how long we keep it up. But I mean, it's ruining our short lives. We don't have long on this spinning rock that's hurtling through space around a big ball of fire. Think about how silly our existence is. But it's all we have. And we spend it all in misery, worrying over money, interest rates, credit card debt, school loans. Why? And why do the rich want to get richer? Why? I keep coming back to these thoughts all the time. It just drives me fucking bonkers because it's like, why in the world do these people with all this money, it doesn't make them happy? How many of you out there know rich people? I know a number of people that got a lot of money, like they got the money that they don't have to worry about anything. And I've seen a lot of people like that. I've worked for people like that. And they're some of the most miserable individuals on the planet. Ask yourself why the guy playing his guitar with his guitar case open, sitting on the corner, buskering for change, has a smile on his face. And the guy in the three-piece $5,000 Armani suit with his nice-ass gator skin briefcase just parked his Porsche in his $5,000 a month parking place going into his office building is just miserable as hell. Can't smile at anybody. Can't even look anybody in the eye. Miserable. Got everything you want, right? I don't think so. That ain't what it's all about, folks. There's something else, you know. And we need to look to that rather than what we're looking to. Ask yourself, how come we got these crises every day? It's because it keeps us from recognizing what is truly real. And I think that's what happened with this, this pandemic. That's why 38 million people quit their jobs and walked away, and they're not going back. 10% of the workforce, if you consider the workforce to be the 335 million. But the way I look at it is you got to consider that, half of that's children and elderly, retired. So it's probably more like 25, 30% of the workforce just walked away because they realized after taking some time off and being put under quarantine and going home that they realized that, hey, what have I been doing? Like, time is short. Like, life is short. Like, people, it started to kind of, click. Like, what am I doing? What am I wasting my time with? Why am I so concerned with this shit? It's not making me happy. It's never made me happy. I think people started to figure out what was real, and they're not going to go back. And I say all for the better. All for the better. We're going to do what's necessary to take care of each other. We're going to do what's necessary. But it's going to take, it's going to take some more people to wake up, open their eyes, and realize that it's not worth me fighting with you because you're conservative or liberal or whatever the hell, or because your magic man is a different magic man than my magic man. What's the point in fighting over that? It's like, you need something, brother? What can I help you out with? Right? That affects change. Not the name you put down on the ballot. Because let's face it, it's not a choice. You don't have freedom of choice when it comes to that, right? When you look at a presidential election, you don't got a freedom of choice. It's like I said on one of my last podcasts. I mean, if you're a vegetarian and you got a choice between a turkey or a fucking turkey sandwich or a hamburger, and you're a vegetarian, is that really a choice? Oh, then it comes down to the lesser of two evils. Well, evil is still evil, and evil will always be evil. And I don't care if you want to say that it's in a bigger increment over here than it is over here. Well, it's just a matter of, I guess, your perception on evil. But my perception on evil is that evil is evil, regardless of how big or how little it is. And I'm not making decisions based on what's the lesser of what's evil. Evil is evil. That's the way I see it. I might be wrong, but I don't think so. It doesn't matter how big, how little. And we all have the capacity for evil inside of us. And we've all done malevolent, awful things. But we try to get better. Whereas these other individuals, these people that we're wasting all our time and energy on, they're not trying to get any better. They're not trying to be any less malevolent and move towards benevolence. No. They're just trying to get richer because that's what they see as money. And that's a pretty sad place. You know, it's pretty sad that we have so many people that are hungry, they're sleeping on the streets, that are sick when they shouldn't be, that we should have a cure for cancer, that we should have, you know, all these different things. We should all have a place to rest our head at night. You know, not freezing your ass off, stuck in a doorway outside somewhere in freezing ass weather. Some people, I guess, you know, I mean, really, you look at it, I mean, there are people that make that choice, but most of us are one medical emergency away from that possibility. That's pretty pathetic. Food for thought. I don't mean to be a downer, but I think there is hope, and we have the opportunity to right the ship. But it starts with you, and it starts with me, and it starts with the little things. So try and make somebody smile. Try and do something decent for somebody today. That's where it starts. Think about somebody else. Quit, you know, I don't want to argue with anybody over, my argument with the politics is that it's all a joke. That's what gets me upset. I'm not on one side of the fence or the other. You know, I don't like either side of the fence. I don't like the fence. Let's tear down the fence and have a barbecue. How about that? There we go. President's Day. Tear down the fence, have a barbecue. Fire the president. Fire them all. Tell them to kick rocks. That'd be a good way to go. Let's get rid of it. Wash it all away. Anyway, with that, I'm going to sign off. I don't know what I'm taking this out with. But it'll be good or be good at it. Stay up, be kind, do no harm. From the Mike Files, 52 miles east of Coyote, Wyoming. Peace out.
Man, all I see on TV and the paper stands is the lies that they feed to keep the upper hand, and we starving for truth, so we biting in. Okay, you know what happened to it takes a whole village, built on every single color, not privilege. If we all work together, we can fix this. Yeah, divided we fall, but together we in this. What happened to neighbors? When did we start seeing each other as strangers? It's on us to change this, and they gon' know us by a light by the end of the night. We gon' burn down London, fire in the streets of Chicago. You gon' hear us coming like thunder. There's riots on the streets and we're coming for you. Burn down LA, fire in the streets in New York City. No sleep, no slumber. There's riots on the streets and we're coming for you. Giving love just to get it back. We're so used to being wrong, so we feel attacked. We don't take it as a gift, but something more attached. Now we don't know how to live or forgive our past. Hey, so it's bleeding on every single thing that we have. But we leaning on these feelings whenever we sad. And we figured that nothing even better will have. So we sit here feeling even more detached. Yeah. I don't know about you, but I could use a little room to let the light through. I could use some good times and some bright news, but this won't happen unless we learn to fight too. What happened to neighbors? When did we start seeing each other as strangers? It's on us to change this, and they gon' know us by a light by the end of the night. We gon' burn down London, fire in the streets of Chicago. You gon' hear us coming like thunder. There's riots on the streets and we're coming for you. Burn down LA, fire in the streets in New York City. No sleep, no slumber. There's riots on the streets and we're coming for you.
Turn off your radio. Shut off your TV. Put down your phone and open your eyes.
If you like the music, check this guy out right here. Brandon Hart, good dude. I'm gonna give him a shout out. All right.
And not against one another.
We gon' burn down London.
Check him out. Good dude. Tom McDonald, Noble Rockefeller. Some good folks there.